Welcome to the Money Maven Project podcast. If you're here to learn how to obtain freedom over your time and money through real estate investing, you're in the right place. Create the life you want by living with intention and becoming a maven in mindset, money, and real estate. Now, here's your host, Justin Monk.
This is Justin Monk with the Money Maven Project podcast. Super excited about our guest today. I think his message is so powerful. Tim Kelly, welcome here to the podcast.
Hey, man. Thanks a lot for having me. I appreciate it. It's always an honor to be asked to come have a fun conversation about stuff we love doing anyway and stuff we love talking about. So let's have a good time.
It's going to be good. So, man, you got an awesome bio here. So Tim is an active duty Chief Petty Officer in the United States Navy and has been serving his country for 14 years now. So now stationed in Florida. He's fully pursuing his dream of owning and operating multifamily real estate and helping others realize their financial freedom goals. Tim has been investing in real estate since 2011, where he purchased his first single-family residence with the intention of foreseeing appreciation and flipping for profit. We'll talk more about that first deal. That was also his first house hack, and quickly learned the benefits of buying of long-term buy and hold real estate were much more aligned with his goals. So we'll kind of talk about that transition. So now Tim has built an incredible network of real estate professionals, owns, controls, and directly been involved in over 1,000 income-producing units, and looks forward to acquiring 5,000 multifamily units within the next 3 years. That's freaking awesome. So through his military service, Tim has not only learned the power of high-level leadership, teamwork, discipline, and grit. He became a certified command financial specialist, educating hundreds of sailors and Marines on personal finance and creating financial freedom. That is so cool. And then let's see here. You're married to Allison, right? Your wife, and you guys are passionate about being active in the community, giving back. We're going to talk a little bit about how you give back now, and we'll talk about some of your other passions later on here. Oh, skipped one thing. Yeah. So you also co-authored the #1 best-selling book, Military House Hacking. So, man, that makes me feel like I haven't accomplished anything yet. So that's awesome, man. Well, let's jump in. Talk to us about where it all started.
Dude, I mean, I have to just let you know, sure, I've gotten over 1,000 units now, both apartment communities, mobile home parks. I've been a guest on Bigger Pockets. I've spoke to thousands of people. We've created this amazing community, all while I'm active duty, right? But there was a time when I had no idea what I was doing, where I was going. I had no idea what the next step was. I had no confidence that I'd be able to. I didn't believe in myself. And then there was a lot of pivotal moments that I had. So for me, so I just wanted to put that out there. So anybody could do this. If I could do this, anybody can. I'm definitely not special. I'm just like you. So kind of all started in like I said, 2011. I used my VA loan. I'm still active duty, and back then, the VA loan is just one of the best benefits that the military offers. And I used that to just purchase a single family home, and it was just like most people, a little bigger than I needed to buy. And most people just buy as big of a home as they possibly can, right? Luckily, I kind of just thought, I'm like, well, I have this nice extra master bedroom. Let me just rent it out and see. I'm like, it was just my wife and I and our dog. And so I ended up house hacking before I knew what the term was all about, before I knew what investing was all about. And then I just always had an interest in that transaction. I just enjoyed shopping for homes, enjoyed real estate, and enjoyed the art of the deal. Just negotiating and doing the deal just was interesting to me. And then kind of just put it on the back burner because I was active duty. I was deploying. I was stationed on a ship going all over the world. And then on the deployment in 2014, I read a few books, and all in personal finance and building wealth. I always had an interest in building wealth and personal finance. And so, one of those books happened to be Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, I just kept seeing this trend of real estate investing, and real estate investing builds massive wealth, and anybody can get into it. And so I got off that deployment, And I just, my curiosity built. I was super curious. I'm like, so I just dove in. I read all kinds of books, listened to a bunch of podcasts. I kind of, like everybody tells you, go to the RIA meeting. I went to all these meetups and conferences, and so I kind of learned kind of went horizontal across all the different ways you could make money in real estate: the single family, the wholesaling, the flipping, the short-term rentals, the BRRRR strategy, then the multifamily, the large commercial stuff, just enough to, and then I, didn't really get traction until I chose one and went vertical. And that was when I discovered multifamily, large and, medium and large multifamily properties were just a lot more aligned with my goals of earning passive income and achieving financial freedom in real estate. It just made a lot more sense to me the more I learned about it. So then I honed my focus into just multifamily, and that's how I was able to scale so quickly, was because I didn't really follow that stigma of buying a house here, maybe buying another, then buying a duplex, then buying a fourplex. I love the small multifamily. I have a small multifamily portfolio in addition to my large multifamily, but I knew I wanted the large multifamily and kind of just went straight for it. And that's kind of what happened.
That's awesome, man. So where are you at today? Like what's your focus right now?
Yeah. So partners and I are investing in syndicating both mobile home communities and apartment communities in different cities of the Southeast and Midwest, honing in on Indianapolis, honing in on the Quad Cities and near Iowa, honing in on places right around Atlanta. We're looking at some stuff in North Carolina, just where we have teams, where we have asset managers. That's a huge bonus for us. And just the value add, the B and C class value add stuff. And we're even looking at some like 55 plus communities, especially the mobile home communities. We love those, man. Love mobile home park investing. And so that's kind of what our focus is at this time.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You're getting after it. I've always been curious when I hear somebody that's in that, at that level. What size of a team do you have? Like, how many team members are operating with you and helping make this a reality?
Yeah. So a lot. I mean, there's, I assume you're just talking about the general partnership
Yeah.
instead of the limited partners, instead of like all of our asset managers,
Yeah.
really. So
Yeah.
for people who kind of don't know that, during the large deals that what's called syndicate, where you pool a bunch of money together from investors who are passively investing, those are limited partners. They just give you their cash to invest. Well, we're the general partners, the GPs, who actually put the deal together, who find the deal, negotiate the deal, put it under contract, conduct the due diligence, close it, right, and then help manage the asset. So the general partnership for us, there's about five core people that are part of the general partnership, because again, we've been doing this with full-time jobs, right? So there's people that we're bringing different skills and attributes to the table, but depending on the deal, if it's like maybe a heavy lift or the high, intense asset management, then our asset manager will also get a piece, especially in the mobile home park side. So it really depends on the deal, but there's about a core five of us who are in the general partnership that will be part of every single deal, and then depending on the deal, might be actually more than that.
Yeah. Awesome. So tell us more about, okay, so that's where you're at today, which is an awesome story. Tell us about, the first deal and kind of that transition of like, okay, that's great, but I see better value, or explain to us how the buy and hold better met your goals, your criteria.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, I mean, it was just education. I invested a lot in my education. I was kind of stuck, and then I started working with coaches and mentors, and they helped me see the light. I, immediately upped my game when I started investing more into myself and into paid coaching and mentorship. That was absolutely pivotal for me. But I knew I wanted to invest in multifamily because I read a few books and I got the education that just made sense. I'm like, I could do this. I don't have to do all these things myself. There's, like I said, there's 5 people on our general partnership team, and we all bring something different to the table. It's literally impossible for one person, even 2 people, to do everything that it takes on a general partnership team. I'm not saying it's impossible, because there are people, if they're full-time investors, it might only require 2 of them or maybe 3 or something. And so, for me, I just read a couple books. One, and I'm just going to tell you the books that were the most pivotal for me. Number one, The ABCs of Real Estate Investing by Ken McElroy. He's the Rich Dad advisor. He's Robert Kiyosaki's, real estate advisor. That was a game changer for me. That really simplified it, and was one of the turning points when I went straight for multifamily. And then his second book, The Advanced Guide to Real Estate. Another book was amazing, was The Loopholes of Real Estate, another Rich Dad Advisor book by Garrett Sutton, his legal advisor. And Tom Wheelwright, his tax advisor, wrote Cash or Tax Free Wealth.
Yeah.
These are just amazing books, and that's the knowledge that you need to just give yourself that kind of that advantage that will catapult you into the place where you can take action, and really you kind of know what you're doing, and you'll have the confidence to go out there and get uncomfortable. So the first deal, I don't even call it my first deal, because I just bought a single family home, but then it kind of clicked for me, and I bought some land, and then it clicked for me. The multifamily thing clicked for me. And then that's when I was actually still at my last duty station. And I ended up, I got orders here to Florida and Pensacola about 3.5 years ago. And at that point, I knew I wanted multifamily, but the minute I moved here, I wanted to use the house hacking strategy to buy a fourplex, live in one unit, rent out the other 3. And that's exactly what I did with a 203K FHA 203K loan. Forced rehab into the loan is an amazing tool. If you guys don't know about that, you could just wrap the cost of all the rehab into the loan, and then you only have to put down 3.5%. House hacking strategy is by far the best way to catapult your wealth and get into the game and put you in a great position. And so the month I got here, I closed on that fourplex, and then 6 months later, I bought a 42-unit apartment complex. With just raise capital, syndicated that, and that really just put me on the map. Then I just, from that point, started buying mobile home parks and other apartment communities, and it's been a fun journey, man. And it was just like it just made more sense to me, instead of buying one single family home after one single family home, closing deal after deal after deal, only getting one door and one door and one door. And then if there's one vacancy, you're 100% vacant. I mean, have to come up with the rent and with the PIT out of the mortgage and all the expenses. But if you have 100 doors, it takes one deal. You can get 100 doors. You could have half of it vacant, but you're still getting cash flow if you buy it right and it's financed right, and it's got the decent management. And so it just made a lot more sense to me, and I didn't hold anything back. And I realized I could, and I kind of just went for it, man. I knew I was going to be the only one that will stop me.
That's awesome, man. So what I've been blown away with, so I started in single family also. I use the Burr method. I have been using the Burr method. And once I started kind of looking into the syndication thing and the multifamily, I always knew that I wanted to go there. But in my brain, it was always like, eventually, like that's something I'll do, in 10 years. That was a comfortable timeline to me. But man, once I saw the power of it, I was like, that needs to happen ASAP. Like that needs to happen sooner rather than later, because otherwise I'll have to buy 100 single family homes and go through that process, which isn't the funnest sometimes, 100 times. I'm like, are you kidding me? So
not for me.
So yeah. So I'm like, let's make that jump. So I'm in that process right now. This is such a great conversation for me, because I'm in that, trying to break into that syndication and multifamily.
Hey, dude, don't try. Remove that word from your vocabulary. Just do it.
Thank you. I'm going to do it. I got 60 days. I want to be under contract in 60 days.
Mindset, man. 80% mindset. I'm telling you guys.
I love it. I say it's 90% mindset, but yeah. You're right. So, okay. So now talk to us, for those that don't know, for those that haven't ran the numbers on a multifamily deal and syndicated a deal, can you, and it's okay if you don't have an example deal, but do you have an example deal that you could just run through some good numbers for us and just show the magic of how these deals come together and how you just to me, it's like you just make money out of thin air by forcing that appreciation, that value add.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you just not obviously if I was preparing, I had like my spreadsheet pulled up or whatever that showed you our analysis before we close the deal. But just I'll kind of keep it high level and keep it simple,
Yeah.
to drive the point home. But the commercial deals, are done by evaluating the income and the expenses, right? You don't pull comps on an apartment complex to get the valuation of a complex. 1 to 4 unit properties, the valuation is based on the comparable sales of like kind properties are in and around that neighborhood. So if a duplex that sold for 300 grand is like 5 miles away from another duplex that has similar bedrooms and bathrooms, similar year built, similar square footage, it's probably going to be relatively close if it's the same, same finishes and stuff like that. But for an apartment complex, you have 50, 100, 200 unit apartment complex. It has nothing to do with comps. Obviously, the rents come into play, but it's the total income of the property, the rents, the fees, if you have extra, whether maybe you have extra utility income, late fees, pet income, whatever it is, all the income that whole entire property is generating minus all the expenses is your net operating income, your NOI, right? And you just divide that by something called your capitalization rate, and that is your valuation. That's your offer price, right? That's
Yeah.
just how simple it is. So you have a lot more control. You could force appreciation, you could improve the income, you could increase the income, and you could decrease the expenses. That's why we're looking for opportunities where there are opportunities to increase the income, maybe bring the rents up, maybe evict tenants who are not paying, maybe put a little bit of rehab into the units, then raise the rents, maybe redo the parking lot, redo the playgrounds, add a dog park. Those are the things that you could add value to this property to justify the rent increases. And a lot of owners don't understand where they're kind of like all these holes in their expenses, mainly in the utilities.
Yeah.
Most cities that we look at, the tenants should be paying for what they consume in terms of utilities, the water, the electrical, right? Um, but a lot of deals that we're looking at, the owners are literally paying for all the water, all the electricity. So that is an opportunity to bill back to the residents and only pay for what they each consume. And that's not only a significant decrease in consumption overall, but that is a huge value add, because when you're decreasing the net operating income, and it's over 100 units or 200 units, that directly impacts the overall valuation of the property,
Yeah.
right? So you
Yeah.
bump your NOI up, that dramatically increases, and the more units you have, the more scale you'll be able to increase the value of the property. So it just made more sense. It just made more sense to me. And even though we don't own 100% of the property, we own it and we control it. And yeah, there's commercial debt and we borrow money from private investors to close the deal. But that's just kind of that's just when I learned all that, that's kind of how it's done. It just made the most sense to me, from a long-term standpoint. That's the best way to get the most amount of cash flow in the shortest period of time. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want me to go into like the syndication split and the returns on the investors. Let me know what questions you have from here, man.
Well, I mean, yeah, the power that I've seen, just like you said, I mean, you increase the value of that property. You find one that's probably being mismanaged, like you said. Rents are under market value. There's an opportunity to have the tenants pay the utilities or some combination there. So you increase the value of that property, and normally, from what I understand, and eventually it might be in a year, it might be in 5 years, but you can do a cash out refinance in a way, and that's where you can pull a lot of money out to go into the next deal. You're paying out, you're getting a huge return to the investors. Like that right there, I mean, that's the Burr strategy on steroids, on a multi-million-dollar level. And that's what blows me away. That it's funny because this is kind of silly, but to me there's a difference of earning money and making money. You earn money at a job. Like you trade time for money, right? But when you actually you make money in real estate because you create this value gap by finding the value add opportunities, and then you get all of a sudden the bank's like, oh yeah, that's worth this now. We'll give you some money. We'll loan it. We'll give you a loan for this amount on it. And all of a sudden there's this money that was nowhere to be found. Now it's there, and that's what I think making money is all about, and the difference between those two. So that's why I
I mean,
think
dude,
that,
if you're not investing any money, any of your personal funds into a deal, but you're getting a return, that is an infinite return. And a lot of these deals, we're using OPM, other people's money, for 100% of the purchase price, right?
yeah,
We're raising capital from private investors to put down, and we're leveraging commercial debt in order to fund the debt side, and the investors fund the equity side. And so if we're not putting any money down, but we're generating a return and we're generating cash flow, that is an infinite return. And that is another huge advantage to the larger commercial deals, that you have the power to use other people's money, because there's so many investors out there that are hungry, that are looking for opportunities to invest. They're waiting for you to present them an opportunity. Look at this deal.
yeah,
I got this deal under contract. We could offer you X amount of returns over 5 to 7 years. This is your internal rate of return, your IRR, your cash on cash. This is the split, the GP LP split. This is the opportunity I'm presenting you.
yeah,
And that was a huge paradigm shift, because a lot of people think, well, I can't get into this game because I don't have any money. I don't know how to raise capital. Well,
yeah,
the biggest paradigm shift for me is I wasn't asking for money. I'm putting together this deal, proving my credibility, and then I'm offering the opportunity to
yeah,
people who are looking for
yeah.
the opportunity. And that's just where you got to understand where to find it and put yourself in the right environments to find those investors.
Yeah, that mindset shift is huge. And I did the exact same thing. I was hesitant. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go to my dad, my brothers, my family, coworkers, and be like, hey, let's, give me some money. I need some money. I felt like I was asking for a favor and, getting a loan from them. But as soon as you understand that you're going out and finding this deal that's got huge, massive upside, and you're the expert, you're the one that can put this thing together, and you're going to them saying, hey, I have a way to improve your life. I have a way for you to make money. I have an opportunity if you want in on the deal. That totally shifted my motivation, because I was super hesitant about that. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't go to people and ask for money. But now I'm like, guys, I can help make you wealthy too. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get wealthy. I'm going to make these deals happen. I want you in on the deal. It's an opportunity. You're not loaning me money. You're investing in a deal that's going to hopefully increase your income. So who doesn't want to help their family and friends and coworkers and just general public in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Make more money and invest in sound assets that can improve their life. Like that shift is huge when you're talking yourself into syndicating and raising money that way. So
Yeah, man.
that's
I mean,
awesome.
it all starts with education and learning how to talk the talk and be able to help educate people and what their returns could look like, especially when you're starting with your friends and your family. You're keeping it what's called a Reg D 506B with non-accredited or sophisticated investors before you go to the more advanced accredited level, the
Yeah.
506C. But when you're talking to your friends and family, and a lot of people, before they get to the confidence, are afraid to even talk to their friends and family, because they kind of have an idea of what the deal looks like and how to work through the deal and how to actually make it happen. And then they're still trying to figure out how to really convey that message and how to illustrate really what they could do to their investors. But until you have that education comes confidence. And then until you know that you're just offering an opportunity, most of these deals, the investors actually get what's called a preferred return. So they actually get paid before any of the general partners get paid. I'm not saying that there's a pref or a preferred return on each deal, but if you ever see, a preferred return or a pref, that just
Yeah.
means that the limited partners, the investor, the passive investors, actually will get that 7, 8, 9, 10% pref before any of the GPs even make a dime, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge. I mean, it's a pretty sweet deal for all parties if it's done right, man.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you mentioned a little earlier that you had some mentors, you had some teachers, I guess. Talk to me a little bit more about that, because that's something that I now have a mentor, which I hesitated at for a long time because I'm like, I can do this on my own. I can tough it out. I'm a smart kid. I can figure this out on my own. But now that I have a mentor, I'm like, yeah, it probably would have taken me a year or two to figure this out on my own. And a mentor has expedited the learning curve or removed the learning curve and just taken chunks of time off of what the process would have been. So you talk a lot about, with education comes confidence, and now you're able to go and present these deals. What role did that mentor, and when did you finally decide, hey, I need to grab a mentor?
Yeah. So I mean, and this is all the reason why we created active duty passive income, dude. I mean, we're helping other military members achieve financial freedom through just education. A lot of it is free education, and then we created courses, and now we have masterminds and coaching and mentorship included in that. I mean, for me, I'm just, one of those suckers that paid 25 grand for coaching through the Rich Dad real estate education, and for me, I don't have any regrets because obviously that was part of my journey and it got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
Do I think that I could have gotten to where I am today without that? I'll never know because that's what I did. But I think it would have taken me a lot longer. But that's another reason why we're offering these services for military and for vets and for their families. We're offering this education, this coaching for like a fraction of that
Yeah.
cost, because you shouldn't have to pay 30, 40, 50 grand
Yeah.
for mentorship and for coaching and education and in real estate and investing. But you do have to be willing to invest in yourself, invest in your education. Pretty much everybody I know, all my other partners and team members in ADPI and a lot of people, most of the people that I run circles with, they have invested in themselves and they have invested in paid coaching and mentorship to get where they're at.
Yeah.
I'm paying thousands of dollars every single year to be in different masterminds and different coaching because you automatically level up. You're putting yourself in environments with people who have been there, who have done that, and who are willing to help you and give back. But I know for a lot of people getting started, they're not thinking about paying 25, 35 grand a year to be in this stuff. They're looking to just, well, where do I get the foundation? It's about the books, it's about the podcast, but that and YouTube University, that will only take you so far, man. Like you alluded to, you can't do it on your own. I mean, some people can, and some people go and they try and they try and try. I've seen way too many people just give up because this is a people business, right? This is a team sport, and you're gonna have to put a team together in order to be successful, especially if you're going for large multifamily. You're gonna need, a team of general partners. You're gonna need that property management team. You're gonna need a team of brokers to help you find deals. You're gonna need the insurance agents and the legal partners, your attorneys and advisors. So, I mean, asking for help is also just a sign of a success mindset. Being willing to humble yourself, ask for help, and say, I don't know this, but I'm impatient and I want to crush it, and I need help. So, going to find others who are willing to give back. And I mean, there's ways to find free mentors, believe me, but there's not very many people out there, especially, above or at my level, who are willing to just kind of give free information and give. The person who's asking has to deliver some kind of value in exchange. It's all about what you give is what you're going to receive back. So, for those of the people looking for a free mentor, it's about kind of putting yourself in the right environments, right? The RIA meetings, the meetups, the conferences, reaching out to people virtually, right? And learning to know what they need, what their goals are, what their needs are, how they got through, their journey, and then figure out how you can help them for free, like a free internship. This is how I could help you if they need like a virtual assistant to do their marketing or their Instagram or run something. Figure out what they need and then go do it, and then learn from them along the way. That is one probably of the best ways that you could work and get a free mentorship for exchanging work and learning from them in exchange. But I mean, you got to surround yourself and put yourself in a tribe or a mastermind of people who are going out there, who are doing it, who are holding each other accountable, because iron sharpens iron. And this is definitely a team sport, man. You need to surround yourself with other people doing it. And in most cases, you got to pay to play.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. And that's a consistent message that I've been hearing as I've had different guests on the podcast. I don't think I've spoke to anybody yet that didn't have some kind of a mentor that was helping them get started. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about what you're doing with active duty passive income. Like that, I mean, I don't know a lot about it, but I already can tell that is something that can change the lives of a lot of people. Tell us a little bit more about maybe some of the I'm assuming that you're jumping right into either helping people house hack their first property, their first fourplex, and then getting them into syndicating deals. But maybe give us kind of the first few tidbits or first few steps that you provide for people, and that'll I think that'll help people also realize what their first step should be too.
Absolutely, man. I mean, education is really at our core, and we are just helping other military members achieve financial freedom. And there's a lot of kind of curiosity and light bulbs that are going off for people in the military that just say they want more. They're not okay with just the military paycheck, with the TSP, which is like the 401k in the military, with the military retirement, with the pension. All that stuff is actually going in the process of going away.
Yeah.
So people are kind of getting smart. They're like, look, I need other streams of income. I need other side hustles to figure out and to help me meet my goals. And then they kind of see real estate. And so, I mean, first and foremost, we have a best-selling book called Military House Hacking. It's free on our website. If you go to activedutypassiveincome.com, download that sucker for free. I co-authored it, a lot of my stories in there, and I'm on my third house hack. I've house hacked 3 different times. And so that is like the kind of like how a lot of people find out about us, because there's just a ton of value in that military house hacking. And then we have a free VA loan mastery course. The VA loan is an amazing tool that's very underutilized. You could literally take a loan, 0% down, buy a fourplex, live in one unit, rent out the others, live for free, cash flow to live. When you house hack, you're in not only a position where you become a homeowner, you become a real estate investor. And if you choose, you could actually be a property manager. You could landlord and be a property manager, but you're in a position to really build wealth because you're not paying your mortgage. Other people are paying your mortgage, and you're providing housing to other people. And you have all these tax benefits, and you could stack and stack and stack your cash while you're learning more and more and more about investing. So that's why I love the house hacking strategy. So that's what we learn, teach a lot about. But I wrote another book called The Blueprint to Financial Success, just all the stuff we should have learned in school, just the step-by-step process of how to really establish your financial foundation. That's a free download on our website too. And there's a workbook included, specific. Now we introduced this credit guide. Most people don't know what makes their credit score, how to improve their credit, how to maintain a high credit score. That's a free guide that we have. I mean, we have this podcast where we've interviewed Robert Kiyosaki, Grant Cardone, Garrett Sutton, Tom Wheelwright, Jocko Will. Like, we have all these amazing guests that we've interviewed. And then we've also interviewed junior officers and junior enlisted members who are just taking in what they're learning from our community, and they're just going to crush it while they're active duty, while they're deployed. And so that's just like all the free stuff. Plus our Facebook group, 12,000 members and growing, just highly valuable. No soliciting is allowed, so it's nothing but value in that community. And then we have for the people who are ready to kind of step up and invest in themselves, we have a military real estate investing academy, like a single family turnkey residential course, and there's a mastermind that you could join too. But since I've always focused on the multifamily stuff, we have a military multifamily and a commercial academy and mastermind. And that's what I spend most of my time on. I just, we put together this very robust course, this academy, and we have a mastermind where we meet multiple times a month on Zoom, like we're doing right now, where we hold each other accountable. We bring people on, that are SEC attorneys and legal advisors and awesome people to come in and drop knowledge. And they have direct access to our entire team. All the people in the multifamily mastermind have direct access to us, our legal advisors, our tax advisors, and they have really every single resource at the touch of their, at the palm of their hand, and they're using their phone to be able to just learn what they need and get to the next level. I mean, it can't really. I wish this was around when I was first going through and learning about all this stuff, but we created it, man, and it's literally for a fraction of the price that all the other coaching and gurus are offering.
That's awesome, man. That sounds like an awesome platform to help people out for sure. Tell me, so I'm super curious. You are spending a lot of time with people that are trying to get into this thing, trying to change their life, get some passive income while they're actively on duty, which is so cool. What are some of the most common uh, mindsets that you see limiting people's progress or success? What are some limiting beliefs that you see day in and day out, very common, that you're having to help get people out of?
A lot of them are the result of our school system and our society. As most of you guys know, our school system, and our society and our government is programming us to rely on other people. They're programming us to rely on a government, on the corporation to take care of us financially, right? And they're trying to convince us that we're not smart enough to take hold and control our own financial legacy, right? Because they program us to be employees, to work for somebody else, to rely on somebody else to pay us and to take care of us. But obviously, there's new rules of money. Back when that was actually okay, and if you worked for the same company for 20, 30, 40 years and you had a high investment and you had a high rate of savings, right, into your 401k, and you had a pension plan after you retired, and your 401k would hit at 59 and a half. Back when that was established, that was a decent opportunity to become successful and be financially free when you were 59 and a half,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
New rules of money today, the cost of living is going up, pensions are going away, 401ks are crap. That 401ks, the IRAs were not even established to be retirement plans. They were established to reduce the taxes of high earners. And then these corporations realize, well, I don't have to offer a pension. I could just use this 401k plan and call it a retirement plan. And all my employees, I'm going to shift the liability on my employees instead of accept the liability as a corporation. So I'm going to shift the liability on my employees, and they invest in when the market crashes, they lose their money.
Yeah.
It's not like when the market crashes, we lose our money and there go our pensions. But that's all the companies were doing. They were shifting the liability onto their employees. So ultimately, dude, if you're not controlling your wealth, somebody else is, and they don't give a shit about your retirement, right? They seriously just don't care about you. So if you're not controlling your wealth right now, it's okay. We're programmed not to. All you got to do, the best thing, you're listening right now, and just take action, do something about it. Baby steps, 1%, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, mindset shift, read ABCs of real estate, read the tax-free wealth book, read loopholes of real estate, listen to podcasts on real estate investing and on the markets, mind feed, surround yourself with more successful people than you. Listen to these types of podcasts every single day, grow as a person and learn. And you can more if you have the power to change your mindset. We're programmed to have that scarcity mindset, that closed mindset, but it's really whatever the masses are doing, do the opposite. Right? Because if you're doing the opposite, you're doing the right thing. Because the opposite will have the abundance mindset, because the scarcity mindset is abundant and the abundance mindset is scarce. Right? Dude, I love this stuff. I can go on for days because it changed my life, obviously. And I'm hoping that whoever's listening, even if it's one person, it changes theirs too, man.
No, it's helping. It's for sure. This is great conversation. Yeah, I remember at a younger age, I had an uncle that he retired at about the age of like 40 or 42. He started a successful business and sold it off and retired, and that's where I started. That's the earliest memory I have of like, hey, he didn't work till he was 65 or whatever. He's retiring and going fishing 5 days a week. I'm like, that sounds like a way better plan than all this other stuff that I've been seeing, and you go talk to the financial advisors, and they're like, okay, yeah, well, they show you the chart, right? If you put this much away in a Roth IRA account, in a bajillion years, you'll have $1 million. And I'm like, okay, hey, that sounds great. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, hey, that's not enough. And I don't want to wait for 45 years or whatever it was. Like, I started to see the problem with that plan, and the fact that It's all designed just to get my money and ship it over to Wall Street so a bunch of other people can make a bunch of money on my money and give me a little bit. I'm like, that, man, that's messed up. And so from early on in my life, I had a desire to not have to, I to not have to work till I was 65 before I could, I'm not calling it retire, but just do what I want, right? Have freedom. And I say this all the time on the podcast. I want freedom of time and money. I'll still work hard, but I just want freedom of time and money. I never want to have to say, I can't do that because I don't have time or I don't have money. And that's my ultimate goal, and hopefully what the platform helps others achieve. And I think the stuff you're providing, the house hacking training, the courses on getting the passive income flowing, that is spot on. So I think the content is spot on, man. Appreciate
Dude,
it.
it's not, and it's not about money, man. I mean, a lot of this, for a lot of people are get kind of that interested because the gurus are taking pictures in front of their Lamborghinis, on the beach. Yeah, obviously, real estate builds massive amounts of wealth, but you're going to realize, the few steps before that is time freedom,
Yeah.
right? Time is the only thing we don't get back. And imagine if you made all the money in the world, if you had like $1 million a month coming in passively, how would you spend your time? Who would you help? Right? How would you, how much better could you provide for your family?
Yeah.
Right? How many lives could you change? Right?
Yeah.
And that why, like, how would you spend your time? You got to think about that. And the one of the best exercises that you could do if you don't have the motivation to really do it, you got to ask yourself, well, why are you interested in real estate? And then you got to ask yourself, well, if your answer is, well, I want to have passive income. Well, why?
Yeah.
Well, because, I just don't want to go to work. I hate my boss. Well, why? Well, because I would rather spend time with my kids. Well, why? Well, because when I was growing up, my dad was always at work and my mom was working her butt off and she was always worried about money. Well, why is that important to you? Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want my kids to experience the same thing. Like, it's got to be deep. It's got to be emotional. So do that 7 layers deep exercise. Even if you have to write it down, ask yourself why at least 7 or 8 times. And that root, whatever that result is, have a tangible reminder of that. And most of the time, if you have kids, that's your why. It's so easy, right? And your kids are running around. You get to play with them. Hopefully, most of some of the day. I mean, obviously, right now with COVID, we've had the ability to telework and spend more time with our families. But I know it hasn't been a blessing for everybody because they're trying to work and watch their kids and all that. But I don't want to get on that. So
Yeah.
whatever you got to have a why that is meaningful enough, right? And you have a tangible, a daily reminder. Like most people just have a phone, an iPhone screen, their smartphone lock screen is a reminder of whatever their why is, right?
Yeah.
Because that why is going to get you through all the nonsense, all the noise, the negativity, people telling you that you're crazy. Who do you think you are? Are you trying to think you could buy a 100-unit apartment complex? What are you, crazy? Well, then if you have that why in front of you, you could focus, be like, hey, no problem. You'll understand that's part of the process. You're going to lose a lot of friends along the way. Even your family's going to tell you that you're crazy. And then you're just going to keep going because that why is reminding you every single day why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, just, if you're doing this just because you want to get rich, it's not going to last very long, man.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a powerful enough why for you.
That's exactly right. And I usually ask this question later on towards the end of the podcast, but I'll ask it now because it fits perfectly. So talk to us. What is your why? Like, talk to us about what your why is.
Yeah. My why, and I don't actually have kids yet. That is why I'm actually leaving the military at 15 years. In November, I'll be at 15 and I'll be leaving, because my heart isn't in what I do in the military.
Yeah.
And if I decided to re-enlist, I would have already been gone and would have already been on a deployment. And my wife and I want to enjoy our freedom. We want to travel before we start having kids. And when we do start having kids, I don't want to be on a deployment overseas when my wife is pregnant, when my kids are born. and I don't want to put my kids through the public school system because I don't agree with it. I
Mhm.
want to be able to homeschool them and put them through a school where they actually learn real life skills while we travel the world.
Yeah.
While we're in a different country, I want to learn for 3-4 hours a day during the week, and then go out and see different cultures and do different things in the afternoon, right? Whether we're on a yacht or whether we're just on a private jet, whatever we do. And there's way too many people that I want to help, way too many lives that I want to change. And I just love the fact that we're giving back because we're planting all these seeds and all these military members, so they'll be able to do all this for
Yeah.
their families and for their legacies. And I'm creating this curriculum because this is the curriculum that I'm going to give my kids, and
Yeah.
they're going to give their kids. I want at least the next 500 years of my legacy, to understand the concepts that I'm learning today, that I'm going to embed in my family tree.
That's so powerful. And I think it blows me away. Like when I think about how much better the world would be if everybody had that freedom of time and money. Like if everybody could give more and give more of their time and give more time to educate others. And I mean, obviously not everybody, but the majority, right? If how many people say, well, I'd love to give of time and money, but I don't have time and money, and therefore they're not able to help others. Like, and I know sometimes you have to make the sacrifice, but sometimes if you got your 9 to 5 and you're a bunch of kids and you're working 2 jobs or whatever, your focus is not on helping others; it's on surviving. And I think as you with this platform and other platforms educate people to get to a point where they now have that more freedom of time and money, now they can start looking outward and say, all right, now who can I help? Who can I lift up with me? That I think could change the world, honestly. And
No, dude, you're
it
you're
blows.
freaking spot on. And 90% of the people who say I don't have the time and have the money, they stop right there and then go on their day, go on their normal day that's unfulfilled. They're unhappy, but they think they settle with it. And that has a lot to do with how we were raised and how we were programmed, but it also has a lot to do with the fact that they're comfortable, right? They're
Yeah.
not willing to get uncomfortable. They're not willing to spend time, maybe an hour a day, to read or to listen to podcasts or to learn or educate themselves. And some of the most successful people and the wealthiest people, not only on the planet, but those that I hang out with, that we're kind of just changing a lot of lives. Some of the most philanthropic and giving and generous people in the world, man. And most people who achieve financial freedom do it, and they spend their time in some way improving our earth and improving our world and making this planet just a better place, whether by helping people, by spending time with the less fortunate, by giving, by helping nonprofit organizations, whatever they're doing. Most people that are willing to put the time in to achieve financial freedom, most of those people make this world a better place
Yeah.
in some way. So
That's huge. That's huge. So I love the topic of mindset and how it's so powerful to shift your mindset. Because oftentimes, if you have an obstacle, you don't even have to remove the obstacle. It's more about just shifting the mindset, and all of a sudden the obstacle disappears. And so talk to us about your experience in the military has formed your mindset or shifted your mindset around certain things that now help you succeed in what you're in your other endeavors now.
dude, I freaking get fired up when I hear this question, because one of the most exciting things about active duty passive income is that we're all military minded, right? And I believe that the military will make you or break you, right? Um, as a side note, I also think that 2020 will make you or break you, right? All the things that have happened to us, how you handle those and how you respond will
Yeah.
either make you or break you. But the military trains us. It is embedded into our DNA to have a extremely good work ethic, right? We are training and learning how to be leaders from day one. We learn how to be gritty and have that resilience from day one. We learn how to work well with the team. We learn how to adapt to really any situation. So like all these characteristics, again, along the way, they'll make you or break you. But if they have made you, that plays very, very, very well in business and investing. So we love partnering with, working with, teaching other military minded personnel, because we are pretty much, we are grown and nurtured and developed into amazing business people.
Yeah.
Because those are all the same traits that the most successful business people have,
Yeah.
on our planet. The highest, most high performing entrepreneurs have all those traits. They're very gritty. They have a lot of resilience. They know how to lead people. They have great work ethic. They know they're very disciplined, right?
Yeah.
In their self and in their business and around others. So, dude, I'm like, the military's breeding entrepreneurs, but a lot of people don't see it like that.
That's so cool. But it's a great point. Honestly, you're trained to come out of there and you have the right mindset to overcome obstacles. Like what else are you trained to do in the military, right? Solve problems, overcome obstacles, push through, persevere, be persistent, be disciplined, all absolute high value characteristics when you venture into any business endeavor or any, ultimately any journey that you're passionate about. Those things are going to help you. And that's so cool.
Dude, absolutely, man. Yeah, I can't thank everybody enough, and those who have trained me in the military, my brothers and sisters. I'm a chief petty officer in the Navy. It's like the world's largest fraternity. My brothers and sisters in the Chiefs Mess, all the people that have led me and guided me and mentored me in the military and made me who I am today. I mean, I could think of at least 20 people off the top of my head who I want to extend gratitude to, but I'm leaving the military early because I think I've gotten what I needed out of the military. And a lot of people that are at this point think it's, you might as well stay in for the 20 to get the pension. But for my situation, what I would have to sacrifice for the next 5 years doesn't make sense to me, because I have other options, because I have other skills, and I enjoy doing what I'm doing more outside of the military than when I'm in the military. But I took so much, away from the military, the relationships, the mindset, the characteristics that I've learned. So I have a lot of my success that I have to attest to what I've done and who I've met in the military.
Well, that's a great case. That's a great case study or case in point, right? You have the freedom to decide that because of passive income and real estate. You have the ability to make that decision if you want. I mean, you can make that step into something else. You can now, before having kids, you can now travel the world with your wife. You have that ability because of the passive income from real estate, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So a few final questions here. I'd love to ask, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but maybe we'll reiterate or shed some more light on it. But what is the one thing that you think separates people that succeed in real estate or whatever journey they're on, and those that give up or fail?
There's a lot that I could say, because I mean, the more I'm learning about how to be a great investor, the more I've learned how to just be a better person and a better individual and be able to give more value to others. I think there's so many different traits and so many different ways that I could answer this question, but it's really, understanding the power of the mindset, right? Understanding that learning all the mechanics, and right, you might be overwhelmed with all the things you might have to learn about real estate and investing and business to be successful, and you can, okay, believe me, you can, but you have to, as you're growing and learning in the real estate knowledge, right, or business or investing knowledge, grow as a person and read those mindset books, listen to the mindset podcast. Because when I say mindset, I'm talking about understanding, like, what is the distinction between the mindset of people who achieve really everything they want and have massive fulfillment versus those people who struggle. And that is, all this information is actually out there between the podcasts and the books. It's information you can get inside the head of successful people. You could learn how they spend their time, how they manage their time, what they invest in, where they go travel, who they give to, and how they overcame their struggles and challenges, right?
Yeah.
It's just you putting the time in and investing in yourself. Growing and personal development is really it. Like when I say mindset, it's putting the time in and creating at least 30 to 60 minutes a day, personal growth and personal development during your morning routine. Wake up earlier than everybody else, crank out that 30, 60 minutes for yourself. Because if you don't, I don't think you're going to have what it takes. If you're not willing to do that, you don't deserve to achieve success.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great advice. I think that's spot on. So you've mentioned a few books already. Um, so I usually ask, what's the best one? What's your favorite one? What's the one that's been the most powerful and changing your life? And maybe you've already mentioned it. So let us know that one, and then maybe any other books you recommend as far as mindset goes.
Dude, there's so freaking many. I mean, I have to make sure that you guys have all heard of and all made the time to read How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Freaking game changer. It's the first book I listened to on Audible like a few years back, and I've been hooked ever since. So highly, highly, highly recommended. It's sitting right here on my bookshelf. And so How to Win Friends and Influence People. Number 2 is a book written by a retired Navy SEAL called Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So you've read that book? You familiar? Yeah, dude.
It.
I mean, this dude is a beast. Talk about mindset, talk about accountability, taking ownership, right, of your own destiny, of your own future, not coming up with excuses. Too many people are making up excuses, and all excuses are lies that many come from external factors, your parents, your teachers, your friends, your family, telling you all these things that will limit your belief in yourself, right? So just negating all those excuses. So Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Highly recommend that Audible too, because in between each chapter is like a freaking mini interview podcast where David Goggins really dives into the story. And then, man, another one I have to say is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. We had the pleasure and honor of interviewing Jocko on our podcast last year, earlier this year, actually. And this dude is another Navy SEAL, retired Navy SEAL commander. And he ended up, training. Now he trains, corporate executives on how to lead people based on what he's learned in the military and on the battlefield as a Navy SEAL commander. His name is Jocko Willink. Extreme Ownership. He's got another one right over there that I got called The Dichotomy of Leadership.
Yep.
Dude is a beast, amazing. So many good ones. Another one, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Freaking game changer. So many good nuggets in that. And then the last one I'll mention is called The Go-Giver. Just such a good book, man. One of my all-time favorites. Super short. It's about the 5 laws of stratospheric success, and they're all about giving. And your abundance and your income that you received is directly correlated to what you give in value to others, right?
Yeah.
If you want more abundance in your life, give more value to others. And how do you do that? Educate yourself, professional development, growth, improve your mindset, because not only are you going to be a better investor, you'll be a better spouse. You'll be a better, dad or mom. You'll be a better community giver. You'll be a better philanthropist. You'll be a better person in general. And the more you learn, the more you grow and be forever student, you'll be able to deliver more value, and then you'll receive more abundance. So yeah, man, I can go on. There's so many great books out there.
Yeah, I have not read. The only one I haven't read is The Go-Giver, so I'll put that on my list. But yeah, those other books are so powerful.
Yeah, man.
They're books that will mess your life up as you know it. meaning they're going to change your they're going to shed some light on the mindset you have and the mindset that you need to shift to. They're definitely game changers for sure. Awesome, man. Well, so in addition to another question I always like to ask is, in addition to what you're currently doing, because I think you've set up a perfect way to not only to create value and earn an income, but also help others in the same in the process, which is so cool. Are there any other ways that you're currently giving back or uh, helping others?
Yeah, I mean, one of my passions is to play drums, and I've been playing drums all my life. I'm in a band, and we gig here locally in Florida and Alabama. I'm right on the border of Florida and Alabama, in Pensacola, Florida. So a lot of time we hang out in like Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, really cool area, and then Pensacola, obviously. And every time we play a show, we donate all of our tips to the USO. Last year we donated about $5,000 to them. And then in ADPI, we've been raising money for the National Coalition of Homeless Veterans. So we're a big fan of helping homeless vets, and we're in the process of building homes for them and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And I mean, I can't wait to stroke a 7-figure check to the USO. That's another one of my short-term goals, and big fan of the USO. For the military, and those are, for those of you who don't know the USO, it's like what you see in all the airports. It's like a home away from home for all the military and veterans. I mean, they're all over the world when they're overseas, deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan or Jordan or wherever. There's usually a USO there that's kind of comfortable, got couches and snacks and food, and you could rest and take a shower. The USO is an amazing organization. And I got really close to them because my wife actually runs the center here in Pensacola, which is a huge place for a lot of the trainees. But anyway, yeah, man, I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing different examples and different ideas on how to give back. So that's why I asked that question. And those are some great efforts there. So if people want to follow you, contact you, how do they find you? How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, super active. Actually, mostly on LinkedIn, and we didn't talk about LinkedIn right now, but I'm telling you guys, people are sleeping on how the power of LinkedIn, man. I'm gonna, just in one sentence, I'll give you the power. I've been able to tap into what's called a family office, which gives us access to literally hundreds of millions of dollars for our deals that we do, just from a couple LinkedIn posts, man. And so LinkedIn is just a very powerful professional network. Algorithm is so much easier than Facebook and Instagram and all the other platforms. So if you're an aspiring investor, business person, whatever, get your butt on LinkedIn, create a professional profile, follow me. I'm at the Timothy Kelly, and just start engaging, start posting, get out there. And so I'm highly active on LinkedIn, but you could obviously find me on Instagram as well, at the Timothy Kelly. That's where obviously you and I connected. And then obviously I'm Facebook, and if you're military, definitely join the free Facebook page. It's called Military Real Estate Investing, but you could just search active duty passive income or military real estate investing, either way. Truthfully, if you guys are listening to this, I'm just going to give you my cell phone number. Shoot me a text, and I'll give you a free freedom call, coaching call, whatever you want to call it. Shoot me a text, and we'll hop on a call, man. 847-910-9161. And we'll chat, man. I want to help you get to the next level.
Man, Tim, that's awesome. That's all been super helpful conversation. I think there's some awesome gold nuggets in there for sure. And I enjoyed it. I learned a ton. Definitely shed some light on a few things that I need to adjust in my mindset and clarified a few things. So I love it. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you for all you're doing for the active duty personnel out there. I appreciate that personally for sure. So thank you for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It was my pleasure. And for everybody listening, just go out there and get it. You're the only one that's going to hold you back. Stay curious and stay hungry. Go get some.
Thanks for listening to the Money Maven Project podcast. A true maven shares knowledge with others, so be sure to share this podcast and leave a review. Thanks so much, and until next time, live life with intention.